the Lax Factor Podcast. What is up, Section 4 lacrosse fans? You are watching the first episode of the new Section4Lax podcast. You can go to Section4Lax.com, where we'll always have a companion piece to every podcast with a big write-up about the games that we're going to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about Johnson City taking on Saratoga Springs. We're going to talk about Maine-Endwell hosting Horseheads, and we'll talk about Elmira, Notre Dame, and Oneonta. Those are the games that were played on Saturday, at least that I could find information on. If you are watching this and you are a coach, parent, whatever in this area, please hit me up with any information you have. The coaches at this point don't all know that I'm doing this at this point. I have a bunch of contacts in the area and coaches that I do know personally that are well aware, but there's still coaches in the area and teams that might not be aware. So if your team does not get me information, or if I can't find information about your team, they will not get covered. Anything that you want to send, pictures, video clips, just tidbits and things of what you thought of the game or the outcome, please get a hold of me. You can go to Section4Lax.com, go to the contact page. My contact information will be there, and you can reach out with information about games, players, all that crap. We'll cover every team as in-depth as we're able to based on the information that people provide. So that's the first pitch here. A little bit of history. I started when I was like 22, 23 years old. I was coaching at Shenango Forks. I started the Section4Lax.com website back then. And Inside Lacrosse had gotten behind it at the time. Bob Carpenter, the publisher and owner of Inside Lacrosse, was a Vestal guy. So he supported it, and he was one of the first sponsors. And back then, I mean, you didn't need a whole lot of sponsors to make it worth your time when you're a 22, 23-year-old dude. So we did that. It was very well received. Manufacturers even got behind it and donated apparel and equipment to give away to the players for end-of-the-year awards and things of that sort. So it was excellent. And then humble brag, I actually won a U.S. Lacrosse Man of the Year award for that back when I was like 22, 23 years old, because it was so well received by the community, specifically, obviously, the lacrosse community. It was a really uncomfortable day because I was at the coaches meeting where they voted between myself and Frank Welsh, the longtime Ithaca lacrosse coach. I was up for the Section4Lax website. He was nominated for the turkey shoot, for running the turkey shoot. I think at that point it was still, in its first couple years of it was in its infancy, as we would say at that point. So, yeah, I had to sit there and watch as the coaches were dead split between the Western-based Section 4 coaches against the Eastern-based Section 4 coaches. And lucky for me, there was more Eastern coaches that knew me and what I was doing with that website, and I ended up winning the award that year. Enough about that dopeness. Let's dive into the games that we're going to talk about here. As I said, we've got Johnson City, Maine-Endwell, and Notre Dame all picking up wins in their opening weekends here. And Johnson City against Saratoga Springs at a neutral site in Oneonta. JC jumped out to a 7-1 lead against Class A Saratoga Springs on Saturday. Saratoga Springs did battle back, and they got to within 2 goals on 2 separate occasions, but both times that happened, the Johnson City defense stood tall. Chris Kozlowski, he stood tall in cage. He ended up with 17 saves on the day, and they were the defense got enough stops that the JC offense was able to kind of get that separation back, get that up to a 3-4 goal cushion again, before then allowing Saratoga Springs that kind of final comeback. It wasn't as close as the score would have indicated here, outside of when it got back to 7-5, 8-5, and then I think it did get back to 8-6 before JC went on that run, and I think they were up about 11-8 or so at the point that Saratoga Springs scored 2 late goals to get back into it. DJ Neer, he finishes the game with 4 goals and 3 helpers. Neer had a hand in each of JC's first 5 goals, and that was a big reason that the Wildcats were able to jump out on top early. I believe he started the game with those 3 dishes, and then he ended up scoring 2 goals over the course of the first 5. He actually had a hand in those first 5 goals. I want to say he may have even had a hand in 6 of the first 8 goals overall, but Neer had a big day. Traeger Lombardini, he chipped in 4 goals on the day for JC. A lefty, good-looking attackman, and I think what I saw a little bit here in this Saratoga Springs game versus what I saw out of him the season prior is it looks like he's dodging with the ball a little bit more. He was kind of a lefty shooter. He'd be good at kind of scatting 3 to 5 steps and score, but when I saw him play, he was doing a lot of kind of spot shooting and minor dodges off of scenarios where one of JC's big cats would draw a slide, he'd end up getting the ball banged to him on the opposite side, and he'd kind of just dodge to the middle quickly and get shots off. But a very good left-handed shooter. I even saw him kind of dodge to the cage a couple of times with his right hand. I think he scored his first goal of the game right-handed on a feed from near. Might have been the second goal of the game, I believe that was. So the more he develops, because I believe he's only a sophomore. I could be wrong. There's not very much information out there on the Section 4 teams. I'm trying to put together rosters so that all of the information about every team, players, numbers, all of that crap will be up on the website, because as I'm trying to cover them, I can't even find that information. It's not readily available, even after reaching out to coaches. So moral of the story, though, I believe he's just a sophomore. The more he develops, the better that will be for Near and his production overall. But JC put it together. The offense plays well around Near dodging. And I know that, especially at the high school level, one of the things that the parents and the people who follow the high school sports hate is they hate it when you hype up one guy over the rest of the team. In a case like this, I'm not trying to do that. Partly, I don't even have a roster for JC. The other part here, though, is that Near is really that good. He's going to be a serious problem for every team that JC faces this year overall. He had 34 goals, 44 helpers last season, and after Saturday, it looks like he's just going to keep putting those numbers up over and over again. He's committed to Mercyhurst, is where he's going to play his college ball after this season. So, moral of the story, good win for Johnson City. They beat a school much bigger than them. Saratoga Springs is a Class A school. They played well defensively overall. As I said, Kozlowski had 17 saves on the day. Looked really good. I think that one key part of that game is the Johnson City defense was playing well in the first quarter, and once Saratoga Springs settled in, I feel like Saratoga Springs was trying to play a little bit too cute early in the game, trying to feed the crease on occasions where they shouldn't have. They were trying to just get the perfect shot instead of just getting shots off. And over the course of that comeback bid, as they got back to within 2 goals on each of those 2 occasions, what they did was stop trying to be too careful with the ball, too careful with their shots. They just started letting it rip, started putting some outside shots past Kozlowski because they had time and room. Their hands were free. And over the course of the first quarter, at times, they were just choosing not to let those rip, feeding the crease in situations that maybe they would have been better off just, putting a shot on cage. So as they started putting shots on cage, that worked out well for them. But eventually the JC defense would settle down. Kozlowski was seeing the ball a little bit better, ends up with 17 saves on the day. So a heck of a day for him. JC picks up the win, and they're on to the next. The next one we're going to talk about here is Maine-Endwell. They played Horseheads at home. They end up needing overtime to win this one. Horseheads jumped out to a 3-1 lead by the end of the first quarter, and then it went back and forth a little bit. Emmy got back in it. They tied it up at 3. I think Horseheads goes up 4-3 at one point. I believe Emmy even had a 5-4 lead, or maybe it was a 6-5 lead at one point in the game. But we fast forward to the end of the game. The Spartans are down. They battle back from 2 goals down. They tie it up at 7s over the course of the fourth quarter, resulting in overtime. And then enter Tyler Matthews. He hits the game-winning goal on the first possession of the extra period, nabbing the win for Emmy at home over, local rival Horseheads. They're both blue. I think Emmy wears the blue a little bit better. I like the blue and the gold look a little bit more than I like the blue and the white look of Horseheads. But, Horseheads has better restaurants in town than Maine-Endwell, than Endwell does overall. So they have that. Matthews, he finished the game with 4 goals. Gabe Thompson, his teammate, puts up 3 goals and 3 assists for Maine-Endwell. And then senior netminder Sam Totten, he stopped 12 shots versus 7 goals. Hey, Sam Totten, I'm going to call you Sam Totten until someone corrects me. Sam, you can hit me up on Instagram or some crap and make sure that I'm not butchering your last name. Tyler Matthews, here is the shot here. I'm just going to show this to you. I've probably already rolled it. Here is the shot of the game winner that Matthews buried. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. I'm sorry, folks. I put that on the wrong screen. Here is the shot of the game winner that Matthews buried. Pretty nice. And then you can see here a goal that he scored earlier that Tyler Cunnington put up. If you want to another place to follow Section 4 Lacrosse, go to Ty Cunnington TV here. He is the Fox anchor, the local Fox News anchor, and he's a lacrosse guy. He is going to do a heck of a job covering high school lacrosse here. So anytime you want to see crap like this, which this is not the game-winning goal. This was one of his goals earlier on the day. But watch this one. Beautiful. Just look at him put the brakes on, turn around and rip it. Let's watch this again here. I never get sick of watching dudes score sick goals. Boom. Look at that. Beautiful goal by Matthews. So obviously teams, as you play Maine-Endwell here through the rest of the season, you don't want to let Matthews have the ball in that area specifically, as he hits that goal there earlier in the game, and he hits the game winner that was almost a carbon copy of it outside. He didn't have to roll back to hit the game winner. So hell of a shot here by Tyler Matthews. Good job. Maine-Endwell picks up the win, and they are also on to the next. Now, the next game that we want to talk about here, and I don't have anything to roll, no highlights to roll or anything like that for this one, but it's Notre Dame. They opened with a 19-3 win over Oneonta. Now, Notre Dame had a big day out of their two big cats. Shane Maloney goes for 6 goals, 4 helpers for a total of 10 points, and Kellen Murphy goes for 5 goals, 4 assists for a total of 9 points. And Murphy put up his 100th career point in this game, and even better, Maloney, his big day puts him at just 99 points. So he's one shy of 100 on his career. So Notre Dame about to have 2 guys playing side by side here right now that are both over 100 career points for the Crusaders. They end up beating Oneonta pretty bad, 19-3. As I said, another huge factor in that lopsided outcome was Kevin Green, the faceoff guy for Notre Dame. He won 17 of 17 faceoffs at the dot. That's pretty insane. He also picks up 19 ground balls on the day. So Notre Dame defense did a good job protecting goalie AJ Miller, as he was only called upon to make 6 saves on the day. So heck of a job I used to call them Elmira Notre Dame. I don't know if that's changed now. I know even when I was coaching at Forks and Whitney Point, we still considered them Elmira Notre Dame. I'm going to call them Notre Dame because it is just Notre Dame High School. So why would I have to qualify that with Elmira, since you all know who I'm talking about? So that's it, folks. We have a bunch of games coming up here. There's a bunch of games being played today. I was hoping to hit one. The only one that I even have a shot at going to might be in Owego, UE against Owego. Everybody else is playing out west, as we'll call it here in Section 4 Lax land. I know that we have somebody who is at Maine-Endwell's playing at Ithaca. I think there's a game going on at Watkins Glen. I think there's a game going on in Corning. I believe there might be one going on in Horseheads. So all of the games other than UE and Owego are out west for me. So I think the big game that I'm going to try to hit up this upcoming week, I think Vestal plays Corning. I believe that's at Vestal. I do want to end up seeing these 2 kids from Notre Dame do battle. They play at Binghamton this week. So I'll be at games. So if, like I said, if you're a parent, coach, whoever you are that's watching this, if you have any information that you would like to share about any of the teams that you follow or that your kids play for, whatever it may be, please hit me up. You can go to Section4Lax.com, and that's the number 4, Lax.com. That'll be the home for all of this content here. If you want to watch the video podcast every week, that's going to be every week on Tuesday. I'll put it up on the Lax Factor YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Lax Factor. And then it'll also be on Spotify or anywhere that you can get podcasts. If you find the Lax Factor podcast, it's going to be put up on the Lax Factor podcast channel. So anywhere where you find podcasts, just look for Lax Factor podcast, Lax Factor Lacrosse podcast, and every Tuesday we'll put the Section 4 podcast out here covering all of the games that I can possibly get information on. So that's it. I'm going to shut my mouth here now. Like I said, come back next Tuesday. And for the most part, if you want to get the quick hit content, I think I'm going to kind of make most of this content live on Twitter. Twitter seems to be the better medium for putting this stuff out here, because I can put quick clips, quick highlights up, say quick things about the teams and all of that. So it's twitter.com/Lax Factor. Lax Factor is my handle for Twitter, and that's where all of this content will get pushed in terms of everything, every idea, every thought. Every time one of the team Twitter accounts puts something out, I'm going to try to retweet it and chirp everybody. So if you want to kind of figure out what's going on in Section 4 Lacrosse, hit me up on Twitter, follow me on Twitter there, because I think that will be the hub for where the bulk of things are going to be published and live beyond the website, Section4Lax.com. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and come back next Tuesday, and Hoost is out. The Lax Factor Podcast.